We are in Parashat Chukat. We're going to be reading from the Noam Elimelech, the teachings of Elimelech from Nizhansk. And the theme of the parasha is, of course, talking about the red heifer. And we're very close to the time of redemption, that they already found a few potential red heifers. And I think one of them was already transported to Israel. It was found in New Jersey, one was found in Oklahoma. But nevertheless, we had already 9 red heifers in the history, and now the 10th one will be the red heifer they're going to slaughter when Mashiach comes. That's going to be probably one of the first, if not the first, sacrifice that we're going to have. So we know that with Mashiach, Moshe, Rabenu, and Aaron are going to come. Moshe Rabenu is going to have to teach us how to do everything, and Aaron, who was the first Kohen Gadol, is going to have to show the Kohen, the present Kohen, what to do. And the red heifer comes to remove the impurity. And there are different types of impurity. The worst of all is called impurity of dead, Tumat Met. This is called Av Avot HaTumah, the father of all impurities. And there are many different types of impurity. Impurity from a dead animal, a dead rodent, a sheretz, can be impurity of semen, impurity from the blood of the woman's cycle. There's many different types of impurity, and each one, of course, has a different severity. The worst of all is the impurity of a dead body, and it's called Tum'at Met. And unfortunately, in our generation and in all previous generations, not all, but the recent previous generations, we all have this impurity of met, of death, because the second the baby comes out of the mother's womb, the doctor just touches it, the baby, right away it transfers over the tumah, the impurity of death. That, needless to say, that is a big factor in our evil inclination, and our desires, and our lust for forbidden things, and the pleasure from forbidden things. This impurity is affecting us in such of a way that we're like stuck in the dark, and it will affect our thoughts and our speech and our action, and much more than that. But nevertheless, the red heifer, if it's done the right way, if it's a real kosher red heifer, as we're going to read in this parasha, and once you take the red heifer, at the time of the Mishkan, they had to give it to Elazar, a Kohen, and he would burn it. And once they had the whole ashes, they would mix it with the water and splash the water on whoever's impure. And there's a whole ceremony and an order how to do it, and this would remove the power of this impurity. So this is the main theme of the parasha. That's why the parasha is called over it. And nevertheless, there's many other things going on in this parasha. Of course, it's one of the most, I don't know if to call the saddest story in the Torah, but a very sad story in the Torah, of course, at the time that Moshe Rabenu himself got punished and didn't go into Eretz Israel. He was ordered to talk to the rock, and instead of that, he hit the rock. And the story goes that Miriam died. And Miriam was the oldest sister of Moshe Rabenu, and Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam were mamash a team, and very high level in prophecy. And when Miriam died, Aaron and Moshe, of course, were extremely upset. And in the merit of Miriam, because she saved Moshe Rabenu, and she guarded him while he was on the water for 3 months, then in her merit, the nation of Israel got for 40 years water coming from the well of Miriam. And once she died, the second she died, the well disappeared. And of course everybody started coming to complaining to Moshe Rabenu, we need water. And the long story short here is that they were bad-mouthing Moshe Rabenu, and because they were complaining for water. Moshe turned to Hashem asking what should he do, so he told him, go look for the rock where the water came out from and talk to it, say whatever holy words that I'm going to tell you to say. So Moshe Rabenu went to the first rock and he said these holy words and nothing came out. So he started looking around. He figured out it was the wrong rock. And he was looking around to recognize the rock of Miriam. There was a group of men behind him that it looked like he doesn't know what he's doing, or he's trying to trick them in one way or another. So they were talking, look what Moshe Rabenu is tricking us. They knew that he was a shepherd for many, many years. He used to be the shepherd of Yitro's flocks. And they knew at the time that shepherds they have a sense where's water, because they needed to get the water for the sheep, for the flocks, whatever it is. So they thought Moshe Rabenu is doing something tricky here, and they were talking bad behind his back, and he heard that. And this is where Moshe Rabenu lost it. This is the first time, and probably the only time, that Moshe Rabenu, in our terminology, lost it. He turned around to them and he gave them a piece of his mind. That's why he got punished, because he couldn't hold his anger. And he really told them what he feels about them. He told them, you are a bunch of complainers. And he used a word similar to rebels than complainers. He's like, 40 years I'm eating your complaints. I gave you everything. Anyways, he let it out. And that's really why he got punished, that he's not going to go into the land of Israel. But anyways, there's many other explanations why such a severe punishment for something so small. But nevertheless, so in this parasha we also see this sad story that Moshe Rabenu got the news that him and Aaron will not enter the land of Israel. So anyways, there's many more other profound stories in this parasha, but we're going to concentrate now specifically about the red heifer, especially that we are waiting anxiously already to see the miracles of the red heifer in our generation, how it's going to change us. Just imagine how we're going to feel when we're going to be sprinkled with this water. I always give the same analogy, which not everybody can relate with, because it has to do with a movie. When I was growing up, there was a very famous movie called Ghostbusters. And I'm sure you saw it with Dan Aykroyd and all the rest of the crew. There's one scene, I believe it's in the second Ghostbusters, that they go underneath the city level and they find the river of slime. Remember that river? Mm-hmm. And then somebody, I don't remember if he pushed him or he fell by himself, but I think it was Dan Aykroyd or the other one, doesn't matter, that he fell into the river of slime. And when he got out of the river of slime, he was yelling and pushing them all and screaming, and he was very violent and very upset and screaming and all. They didn't understand what's going on with him. And then when they washed him down, they washed all the slime down, he was hugging them, I love you, he was kissing them, I love you so much. And this is a perfect analogy how we are in the river of slime. So we're violent, we're rude, we curse, we're not considerate, we have moods, and we're like affected with this from this slime. But once we're washed off, suddenly you don't have anger anymore, you don't have frustration, and you talk nice, and your speech is clear and nice. And so once we don't even understand how much we are covered with slime, that we are very, very aggressive and negative, and our language in many times is false. Somebody upsets you, right away you will say some not nice word. Somebody will rub your shoulder the wrong way, the reaction will be negative and sometimes even violent. And we don't even notice how we are covered with this slime of this tum'at mit. Now imagine now you're taking some shower. I mean, some of us do feel it when they go to the mikveh. I don't know about you, I feel it. When I go into the mikveh, if I'm not going to go to the mikveh a day or two, and it happens when I travel. When I travel, it's hard to find a mikveh. Here you have, Baruch Hashem, every two steps you'll find a mikveh, and holy ones. Sometimes I travel, and 3-4 days I can't find a mikveh. I'll go into a pool, I'll take a shower. It's not the same thing. Finally, after I go into the mikveh, you come out, it's like, wow, you feel this junk removed from you. I shared that many times that I have a relative that he's a very unique individual. I mean, we're all unique in our own way, but he's a very special soul. What in this world they call these type of people maybe special needs or There's different definitions to chas v'shalom, not to hurt somebody's feelings, but he's a very unique soul. That the soul is so high and so powerful that the body cannot contain the soul in the right way, so it comes out in this world in a way that we think it's different. But nevertheless, very unique individual, and many, many years ago we started inviting him to Shabbat. He would come and spend Shabbat with us, and then we started inviting him to the high holidays, and slowly we were pulling him in to the life of the Torah. And one time I told him, it was Erev Shabbat, he came for us to Shabbat, and I told him, I'm going to the mikveh, do you want to come with me? He's like, what's a mikveh? I told him it's like a spiritual bath. It's a big bathtub with water, and it's, yeah. So he's like, okay, fine, I'll come with you. So we go, and bear in mind, the guy is like in his late 50s. And okay, we're going to the mikveh, and he sees naked men, and I'm getting undressed, and his expression was like, what is going on here? I told him, well, you have to go into the mikveh, we get undressed. So he didn't really relate to this ritual. What do you mean getting undressed? In front of everybody? Anyways, after a couple minutes of explanations, he started getting undressed too. And of course, we go first take a shower, and he's trying to peek with like, what's going on here? And I told him, you see this little pool, we're going to go in it. So he, in a very funny way, he was like, is there any women here? So I told him, no, don't worry, there's just men here. And he was like, do we all go together? I said, unfortunately, yes. So long story short, one time I'll tell you the whole scene of the mikveh, but he went in. First of all, he didn't want to go in. It was like, what am I going to go in with a bunch of men? And it wasn't such a clean mikveh to start with. So anyways, it took a lot of convincing to take him in, but finally he got in. And when we went out of the actual, not from the water, from the actual mikveh, he was like hyperventilating. He was like, he couldn't talk. And I was like, you okay? He's like, wow, I feel so clean. And okay, a few months passed, and then he came back to like a Shabbat meal. And we went next to the mikveh, and he told me, I come here every day. He pointed at the mikveh. I told him, you come here every day? He's like, yeah, every day. He lived in Long Island. I lived in Brooklyn. It's an hour and a half drive, and he would come every day. I told him, why you come here every day? He's like, because I like this mikveh. I told him, but there's a mikveh 10 minutes away from where you live. You don't have to come all the way here. He told me he felt so amazing. He was like, every time I go to the mikveh, I feel like all the dirt, all the junk is being removed. He got addicted to the mikveh. He would drive an hour and a half every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the mikveh. And later on, when I told him there's a mikveh close to where he lives, he would go there 3 times a day. 3 times a day, he would go morning, afternoon, evening. And the people in the place where he went to, they used to call him the Baal Shem Tov Jew, because he was this, this simple Jew. This is the guy that I told you a couple of times that when he would pray with us, he would read everything in the Siddur. He didn't read like just Shacharit. He would read the whole Siddur. He would, with the Kaddish, with the explanations. You know how sometimes there's commentary in the Siddur. Now congregation stands up. Now congregation he would read everything. One time we were praying, I looked in his Siddur, and he was in Rosh Hashanah, in Musaf of Rosh Hashanah. And I told him, no, we're praying the Shabbat prayer. And the rabbi in the shul and me, we were joking, and we were like, no, it's okay, just do what you're doing. You know the story of the Baal Shem Tov, that one time he went to a village, and he was would travel from one place to another. So in the morning, when he was leaving the village, he left the village, got on the boat, and he started sailing away. There's one Jew started running, and stop, and he was running, and he didn't even notice. He started running on the water. And he's running on the water, and then he comes all the way to the boat. The boat is in the middle of the water. The Baal Shem Tov is like, sees the man is standing on the water. He's like, can you show me again in the Siddur what you told me, the part that I skipped? Baal Shem Tov told him, just continue doing whatever you're doing. You're doing great. So, same thing with this guy. We would tell him, just do what you need to do. Long story short, the reason I'm saying that, because he was so sensitive that he would, not only that he would say that, you would see on his face, but he would say that, I feel like all this dirt is being removed from me when I go into the mikveh. So some men are more lucky than the other. When I go to the mikveh, I feel a bunch of junk was removed. So just imagine how it's going to feel when we're going to be sprinkled with the water of the red heifer. Suddenly, that's how I feel we're going to feel, that like we were going to be pulled out of the river of slime, and suddenly our thoughts will be like, wow. You'll look at everybody and love everybody, and somebody will step on your toe. I'm sorry, I'm standing in your way. And we're going to be completely different. So this parasha is talking about the Chukat Torah, the law of the Torah, which is referring to the red heifer. So a very long preparation, an intro to what I wanted to say, but nevertheless let's read out from what the normally Melech says. And he says, the Torah starts with the word Zot Chukat Torah. This is the law of the Torah. Now we know there are three types of mitzvot. The first type of mitzvot is called mishpatim. Mishpatim are the basic laws. Don't steal, don't kill, don't commit adultery. These are the rules, the laws, that even if you wouldn't have the Torah, they would make sense to you. You don't need the Torah to tell you not to steal. Then there are another group of mitzvot that are called edut. Edut is a testimony. Anything that testifies for something that happened in the past. Shabbat is a testimony for the creation of the world. And Pesach is the testimony that we left Mitzrayim, and so forth. There are many mitzvot that testify for something that happened in the past. And the third group is called chukim. Chok is a law that is beyond our comprehension. It's beyond what we can understand. For example, kosher. I don't understand why this animal is kosher and that animal is not kosher. Or mikveh. Or many other things, mixing wool and linen. What's the common sense with mixing wool and linen? I don't understand that. There are different types of mitzvot that we don't understand the reason for it, but we still do it because that's what Hashem said. And one of them, which is the hardest one, the biggest enigma, is the red heifer. Why when I burn a cow, but a specific cow, it has to be red, it has to be, there's a whole list of specifications. And then if you burn it in a certain way and burn everything and put the ashes and mix it and throw it and sprinkle, it removes impurity of dead. So this falls under the category that's called chukah. Chukah is a law that is beyond our understanding. Now it says this about the red heifer. This is the chukat Torah. This is the law of the Torah. Rashi explains, Lefisha Satan v'umot olam monim et Israel. Since the Satan, the devil, and the nation of the nations of the world, they count the nation of Israel. Not only that they count, they're questioning. Lomar, ma mitzvah zoti? Ma tam yesh ba? They're questioning, what is this mitzvah? Many other mitzvot I can understand. But this mitzvah, I don't understand. Why are you doing that? What's the reason for that? Therefore, lechach ktiv, it says, chukah. It says on this mitzvah there is a chok. Chok is beyond our comprehension. Lomar, gzerahi milifanai. This is a decree that the Kadosh Baruch Hu have put in front of me. En lecha reshut le'arer acharei. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I have came up with this law. It's my decree. You have no reason or any type of a reason to question me. Ve'esh le'akshot. Now comes a question, because we understand that the red heifer is a chukah, is a law that the Kadosh Baruch Hu said. He gave a decree, and he says you can't question it. This is the rule. Now comes a question that one can ask. Shelalan katov Rashi b'shem Rabbi Moshe Adarshan. Rashi says in the name of Rabbi Moshe, the one who was teaching it here, Ta'am al mitzvah zo. Rabbi Moshe Adarshan comes and gives a reason for this mitzvah, and he says, Tavo para, will come the cow, and will clean the excrement of its child. Saying, in other words, the red heifer is coming to atone for the golden calf. And it says a mother will come and clean the child's diaper. Moshe Adarshan says in a different way, says the cow will clean the excrement, the droppings of its calf. Saying, in other words, the red heifer is coming to atone for the golden calf. It wasn't a golden bull, it was a golden calf. So the red heifer is an atonement for that sin. Now we have an explanation. Here, I gave you an explanation. Why are you saying it's such an enigma? Here, I gave you a good explanation. Because the golden calf was one of the most severe sins in our history, that it brought back death into the world. In the beginning there wasn't such a thing as death. Then Adam HaRishon, Chava and the snake sinned. They brought death to the world. And for thousands of years people were dying. And once we got the Torah in Mount Sinai, that was removed. This decree was removed. And then of course happened the red heifer, and it came back again, death to the world. If so, imken kashe. Again, I have a question on here. If there's a reason, and you're telling me the red heifer is to atone for the golden calf, then why you call it a chukah? Why you call it a law that doesn't make sense? Now, it seems to me, that's what the Normal Melech says, I have a good explanation. And what is the explanation of the Normal Melech? Ki ba'adam yesh ramach ivarim. In the person there are 248 limbs. And there's also shasa gidim, 365 tendons. Why specifically this number? Because the 248 limbs correspond to the 248 positive mitzvot we have in the Torah. And the 365 tendons corresponds to the negative mitzvot, the negative precepts in the Torah. And each tendon or organ is corresponding to one mitzvah, which means that one mitzvah is dependent on one of these organs or tendons, and vice versa. Even in Yaakov Avinu, Vateka kaf yerech Yaakov. If you remember, when he was fighting the angel grabbed his sciatic nerve. He grabbed his heel, and he ripped his sciatic nerve. So we see that corresponding to that part of the body. Al ken lo yuchlu miyad she'ha ma'aseh. Hahu beYaakov techef kiblu Yisrael hamitzvat lo b'gid hanasheh. Right? We see that even in something so minor in the body, that we have a precept, a negative mitzvah. We're not allowed to eat the sciatic nerve. Why? Because of this specific situation with Yaakov and the angel. But nevertheless, we do know from many other books that every mitzvah is depending or corresponding to one of the body parts. And if I know, I don't know, that's the thing. We know some of it. But in general, when I perform a certain mitzvah, it will affect the organ or the tendon in the body. And vice versa. If you hurt the organ or the tendon, it will affect the mitzvah in a way that if I hurt the organ, it will be harder for me to do the mitzvah, or I'm not going to be able to do the mitzvah. Now comes the nations, and the nations, they constantly prosecute against Israel. והאומות מקטרגים תמיד על ישראל לראות אם הם שלמים במצוותיהם. And they constantly prosecute against Israel and the nation of Israel, and they're saying, let's see if you're really doing all the mitzvot. Are you complete with your mitzvot? ובמצווה זו של פרה אדומה אינם יודעים מה עניינה. But in the mitzvah of red heifer, they don't know what it means. What is that going to do with my body? Tell me, okay, now, we just said with the sciatic nerve, okay, the mitzvah, the precept of not eating it. And we mentioned many times that we see how a certain organ corresponds to a certain mitzvah. And if you can say the right hand is to give charity, the left hand you put tefillin on, and we can really start dissecting it one by one. But nevertheless, the red heifer, I can't find any connection to a body part. And again, there's no time now to start going one mitzvah after the other, but the example that I gave with the right hand for the mitzvah, for the charity, and left hand for tefillin, there's many other things, with my lips to say brachot, and my tongue to praise Hashem, and whatever it is, and we went through some of it in one of the classes in Sha'arei Kedusha. But nevertheless, the nations that are prosecuting against Israel, they're saying, okay, but what about, how is the red heifer connected to your body in any type of a way? Einam yodim ma inyana, they don't know what it means, ki hem monim ha'evarim v'hagidim shel Israel, because they go through the tendons and the body parts of the nation of Israel, ve'enam motzim mitzvah zo b'minyanam, and they don't find any connection between the body parts to the red heifer. L'chach sholim ma ta'am ba. That's why they ask, what is the reason for the red heifer? Now what's the explanation? V'atirutz lahem ukach. The answer is as follow. Ki b'gemara amar. In the Gemara it says, לא היו ישראל ראויים לאותו מעשה, אלא כדי להורות תשובה לרבים. The nation of Israel were not worthy for this mitzvah, only in order to show to the public and to the masses that one can do tshuva. ולזה הוקם להם מעשה פרה. And that's why Hashem gave us the red heifer, that we can show everybody, you can do tshuva. Even for something as severe as the golden calf, there's tshuva for that, you can repent. Nevertheless, for anything else is repentance, if you really want to. לכפר להראות כי התשובה מועלת לרבים. To have a mitzvah that somebody can come and say, will I ever be forgiven? Yes. Because even for the golden calf we got forgiveness, you'll get forgiven. Not too long ago came to me a lady, and she told me I carrying with me something that I did for a long time, and I can't find any person that I can be comfortable to tell him what I did, especially a rabbi. So I don't know what to do, I'm lost. And she says, for you, I don't know, I feel that I can open up to you. Sure, go ahead, tell me what's on your heart. And she told me I did one of the most severe sins in the Torah, and I cheated on my husband 3 times with 3 different men. Okay. She was like, am I ever going to be forgiven? Is there any tshuva for that? I mean, I can't live with myself. And will Hashem ever forgive me? Or I'm going to be burning in hell for eternity? And of course it came with many other things. This is just the title. And I told her, yeah, there's tshuva for everything. Even for that. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but Hashem will forgive anything, including that. So comes and of course, that was a great relief for her, because first of all, she was embarrassed to go to any person, to tell any rabbi, listen, this is what I did. First, we have to learn from that when it comes to tshuva, just the fact that you're stepping over your ego and you're going to somebody else and you're confessing, this is already a big portion of the tshuva. That's what I told her. Just the fact that you gathered courage to stand in front of a stranger and tell him something so severe, just that you already knocked out 50% of your tshuva, because a big part of our tshuva is to confess. And to confess not to myself in front of a wall, to confess to somebody in front of their face. This is not an easy thing. And the confession is a very big part of our tshuva. But nevertheless, for her it was a relief, because I told her there is tshuva. There is many things you need to do. But you are smart that you're investing your time now, the next 20, 30 years in this world, to atone for what you did, so you don't have to deal with it in the world above. But nevertheless, there's tshuva for everything. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu specifically gave us the red heifer to show us, doesn't matter what you did, there is a way out. נמצא כי עיקר הטעם הפרה הוא בשביל חטא העגל. Okay, so we do find that the main part of the red heifer is to atone for the golden calf. והחטא גופה לא היה כי אם לא הורות תשובה. But why was the sin? We explained that, if you remember at the time when we learned about the golden calf, and we explained that the Talmud says it was a conspiracy. נורא עלילה על בני אדם. That's what the Talmud says, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu made a conspiracy and he manipulated the situation in such a way that they would fail in the golden calf. Only so they will understand that there's a way to do tshuva. Nevertheless, same thing here. It says that it seems that the red heifer is coming to atone for the golden calf, and the sin itself was to teach us that there is tshuva for everything. Vehu be'atzma chuka lekach, and the whole mitzvah of tshuva is a chuka. Can you explain what tshuva means? Can you explain that a person can murder, can kill, can cheat, can do horrible things, and do tshuva, and it will erase everything that he did? Just imagine what a power a mitzvah it is. So it's coming to tell us not only the red heifer is a chukah. Chukah means a mitzvah that is beyond our comprehension, that we don't even see any common sense or logic here. So he comes and tells you even tshuva is beyond our comprehension. How can it be that a person led his life in a certain way, now he changes his path, he completely erases his credit. His record, sorry. I mean, even in this world it's almost impossible to do that. So, but tshuva is beyond anything what we can understand, and tshuva has the power to erase everything. Therefore, it says that the mitzvah of tshuva itself is a chukah, and that's why it says lechach ktiv b'chukah. That's why it says about the red heifer that is also a chukah. Af al pi sheyesh batam, even though we found a reason that the red heifer is to atone for the golden calf, but nevertheless it's still in the level of a chukah. Why? Because the red heifer is corresponding to tshuva. Af al pi sheyesh batam k'divrei Rabbi Moshe Adarshan ve'aven. So we see from that the red heifer is coming to teach me something very deep and profound. First of all, we know that many try to figure out the idea of the red heifer. Even Shlomo HaMelech says, Chakarti, ve'badakti, I have learned, and I have interrogated and checked. Shlomo HaMelech says, I tried everything, and I never found the reason for the red heifer. But here we have a very clear explanation coming from Rashi, based on Rabbi Moshe Adarshan, that it's okay, it came to atone for the golden calf. Why exactly and how? We don't understand why, because the reason for the red heifer is just to teach us that there is the concept of tshuva in this world, and this is something we'll never understand. We'll never understand how tshuva, by me repenting, it will erase my record. And the tshuva, unfortunately, there's no school for tshuva. There's beautiful institutes that teach you Torah and teach you many things, but there's no course, a crash course, how to do tshuva. Am I doing fine in my tshuva? Am I doing good? Is there any follow-up here? Is my tshuva a year? Is my tshuva 20 years? Is there stages? Stage 1, stage 2? How am I doing tshuva? There's no guide. I've been to 4 different yeshivot. Nobody taught me how to do tshuva. They taught me how to read from the Torah. They taught me how to read halakha, how to learn Gemara. Nobody ever taught me how to do tshuva. We're going to start a course about tshuva because nobody knows how to do tshuva. We're walking in the dark here. And nobody has the real guidance of saying, is my tshuva really good? How I know that I'm not spending 10 years and I'm standing in the same spot, like being stuck in the snow and the wheels are just turning around. Maybe my tshuva is worthless. Maybe I'm not hitting the nerve. Sometimes you go to a therapist, a massage therapist, he hits the nerve right on the bone or the muscle. He works on it. Sometimes they can massage you for 2 hours. You're not even touching where it hurts. But nevertheless, the red heifer is coming to teach me something very deep and profound, that doesn't matter what I do, there is a way to fix it. And there is tshuva, and Hashem does accept it, and Hashem will erase the record, the bad action that I did, if I do tshuva, if I apply the tshuva the right way. So we're going to continue learning in the parasha, not only on the power of the red heifer, but we're also going to start learning how does one really do tshuva. And tshuva is, needless to say, the first and most important is that you leave your bad actions. You have to stop. This is the first and most important. Whatever you did wrong, you have to say, okay, first of all, I'm stopping. This is the first and the most important part of it. Just stop what you're doing, because it's almost like having a leak, and you're complaining that you're getting a big water bill. But so stop the leak. First, stop the leak. Then let's talk about the damage, the water damage. And then let's see how you're going to pay the bill. Maybe you can talk with the company and negotiate. Here in Israel, I actually found out that we had a leak in one of our major pipes here. And the water company is the one who informed us. They said there's excessive use of water. It's not normal for your regular use. Must be a leak somewhere. And we went and searched and we found a leak outside, but it was our pipe. And believe it or not, the water company said, show us a receipt that you fixed the leak. We will take the calculation of the excessive use of water and we'll discount it. We're not going to charge you for that. Ooh, that's pretty nice. So it was funny, because then we brought somebody to fix it, but he was not working on the books. I told him I need a receipt because I need to show the water company proof that it was fixed by a professional. But nevertheless, the point is that when I have a leak, a spiritual leak, first stop the leak. First of all. Then we'll start talking about, now we'll assess the damage, and if there's a bill, let's see how we're paying the bill. Same thing with tshuva. First of all, stop the leak. Stop what you're doing bad. Now we're going to go to step 2, step 3, step 4. How am I fixing the damage? How am I paying the bill? And how am I changing? And what I need to do? Tshuva, there's many steps for tshuva. And the first thing is not to stop doing the bad things. The second thing is to confess. You have to confess. I'm sorry, I did it. I did what I did. It's a very hard part to confess, because it means I have to lower myself and to come to the person that I stole from and tell him, I'm sorry, I stole from you. Or the person that I did something bad to, come and apologize, or whatever it is. And we're not going to talk about now our course of Teshuvah, but the stages is, first of all, you stop the bad action. You have to confess. You have to take on yourself the decision that you're going to stop doing it. And needless to say, to have charata, to have remorse, to feel bad. If you stop doing something, but you don't feel bad for what you did, the teshuvah is not 100% good there. And what's going to be the result? Then you're going to fail again over and over till you're really going to feel bad. Because if you steal from somebody that is a stranger, you don't care. But if a person, chas v'shalom, ends up stealing from somebody they love and they see the damages caused them and they feel real bad, they don't know how to digest it, then it causes them to do real teshuvah. I told you the story with the guy. It's a long story. I don't think I should maybe say it now, but the story that I said once with a guy who worked for many years and he left the money on the table. Remember that story? If not, if you want, I'll tell you the story real quick again. But then there was one guy who got into financial stress, and he had to leave town to go and find a job. And for 3 years he wasn't home working. The story says that the Baal Shem Tov once went to a different town to a wedding. And the way they used to do weddings in the past, they used to do like, I'm sure you ever participated in when they honoring the Sefer Torah, and they bring the Sefer Torah into the shul. They walk in the street, they make a parade out of it. Achnasat Sefer Torah. Once they used to do the same thing with weddings. And that's why now when you do the Achnasat Sefer Torah, you see they're walking in the street with a chuppah. But nevertheless, they used to do it for weddings. So the Baal Shem Tov participated in this march. And suddenly, in the middle of the march, the Baal Shem Tov goes out of the row to a random person that's standing on the side, whispers something in his ear, and he goes back to the march. The students of the Baal Shem Tov who noticed it ran to the guy. They said, must be that this guy is some hidden tzaddik. If the Baal Shem Tov went out of the row to whisper something and went back, they were like, okay, maybe he's one of the hidden tzaddikim. They came to him and told him, what did the Baal Shem Tov tell you? What did our master tell you? He says, nothing, it's not something, it's not so important. They told him, listen, now he got their attention even more. They're like, please, tell us what he told you. No, it's not important. So they really wanted to know. And they were pushing him and convincing him, tell us what he told you. So he told them, I'll tell you what he told me. And the story goes that he says, my friend who got into this financial stress and he needed to find money, and he left town and he went and made money, and he worked very hard, and for 3 years he wasn't home. And after 3 years, when he came home, finally he came home, he saved a nice amount of money, and I walked into his home to greet him, to say hello. I didn't see him for 3 years. And he left his wallet full of money on the table. All the money that he saved was on the table. And I felt real bad. Why are you leaving all this money on the table? It's very irresponsible. Somebody can take it. And he said, you know what? I'm going to teach him a lesson. I'm going to take away this wallet so he will get all stressed up, and I'll teach him, see, you're not going to take care of your money. You can't just leave it hanging out there on the table. And he took the wallet. Of course, the friend comes, where's the wallet? Oh my gosh, the wallet disappeared. And he started freaking out. It's 3 years worth of work. And he's getting uptight and he's looking everywhere and he's losing it. After a while, his wife tells him, what's going on? Why you look so stressed out? He says, don't ask. The money disappeared. Oh, now the wife blew up. How did you lose the money? What kind of a man are you? What kind of irresponsibility? 3 years I'm sacrificing here. I didn't see you for 3 years. Now just like that, all that money went in. Oh, she lost it. Now, of course, bad news travels very fast. Right away, the people in town heard that the money's gone. Now, all the people who loaned money to the wife based on the fact that the husband is coming back to pay, they came back knocking on the door. Where's the money? You promised us that when your husband is coming home, we get our money back. Now the money's gone. Give us the money. And the friend is standing on the side of the room and he's seeing this. He's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I do? I just wanted to teach him a lesson. Look what happened now. Now they're going, the Shlom Bayit issue, he's about to jump out of the window, his wife is about to kill him, the people who loaned him the money are going completely crazy, and he's like, what should I do? Should I bring now the money? Now if I bring now the money, how am I going to look? I'm going to look like a fool. So he says, okay, let me wait a few more hours, maybe it will relax. Nothing happened. A few hours passed, it became worse. Now all the creditors were suing them. Now the Beit Din is coming and saying, okay, you got to come to the Beit Din. They're all suing you. They want money. And the friend is standing on the side. Oh my God, how am I going to... Well, look what I did. The next day, it was a disaster. He was about to commit suicide. The wife already was begging, give me a get. I don't want to be married to you. All the creditors are suing them. There's a whole line in the Beit Din. And the friend is like, what did I do? Look at what I did. I just wanted to teach him a lesson. Okay, so he says, okay, let me just wait a few more days. Let things relax. And he says, okay, you know what? The friend comes up with an idea and says, you know what? If I'm going to wait now a few days to let things relax, why don't I go and take the money and invest it? Now I can also make some money on top of it, so when I bring him back the money, I can bring him his money plus a few more bucks that I made. Oh, now you're going to invest money that doesn't belong to you. Now he says, where am I going to invest it? I can't invest it in the town. Or people are going to ask, where you have money from? And then people suspect me that I stole the money. So he went to a different city to invest the money. And that was the city where was that wedding. Now just imagine what a snowball of action. And the Baal Shem Tov came to him and he just whispered in his ear, stop right now. Stop, go back, give back the money. I guarantee to you that I will make sure that you're not going to get in trouble and everything will come down, but don't continue with it. Because the more you schlep it, the worse it becomes. You're going to wait another few days, what's going to happen? You're going to invest the money, what if you lose it? Now what's going to happen? So sometimes this is bechlal, a profound lesson for us. When you do a sin or you do a problem, right away stop it, because when you don't stop it, it becomes worse and worse and worse, and then to reverse it is almost impossible. And this is the idea with Teshuvah. When you see you did something wrong, stop. First of all, stop, because when you don't stop, it becomes worse and worse and worse, and you don't know how to control it anymore. I said the story because we need to understand how to do Teshuvah and to get myself to a point of regret. Now, in this specific story, he regretted what he did. He saw the damage. His friend was on the verge of getting a heart attack or committing suicide. His wife wanted to leave him. The whole city went against him. That brought him real regret. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I did. Sometimes you do a negative action, you don't regret it. You're like, okay. Sometimes you do something and you really regret it, that you're like, Hashem, if I could only move the wheel back, the wheel of time back. A big portion of the teshuvah is to feel regret, to see the damage you did and to regret it. To say, I don't believe it. To feel bad about it. But nevertheless, another time we'll do a class about teshuvah. But for now, we have to understand that when it's talking about the red heifer, is not to try to figure out what's the sequence in the ashes. Why is it deactivating the impurity? That we'll never understand. But what I need to understand from that the Kadosh Baruch Hu comes and tells me in a very firm way, there is teshuvah for everything. I made this whole thing with the red heifer and the golden calf for you to understand that doesn't matter what you did, there's a way out. And you can do teshuvah. Do teshuvah with your whole heart and a real, sincere teshuvah. I will forgive you, and the credit will be the record. I don't know why I'm saying credit. The record will be removed. And this is what we really need to take from that, and to understand that when we read a portion of the Torah, again, it's not a historical event. It's to understand that the divine providence, and when we read it in this week, and it means that this week has a very powerful energy for teshuvah. Every week, whatever theme we read in the parasha is to make me understand that this week has an energy. Every day has an energy. Every day of the year has a unique energy that doesn't resemble the next day. And every week has a different energy. And every month there's a different energy. That's why we read the Torah by portions. The Torah was not written by portions. The Torah was written by chapters. And if you look at the chapters, it has nothing to do with the portions. The parashot, the portions, they're not corresponding to the chapters. But we read according to the parasha, because the year is divided in seconds. It's actually divided in parts. A part is 3.33 of a second. If you remember when we're announcing the molad, the birth of the month, we say the day, the hour, the minutes, and the parts. So the year is divided into parts, into seconds, into minutes, into hours, into days, into weeks, month, and then a year. And then of course every year. And every year is a whole different energy. So every week there's a certain power in the world that if I tap into it, that it allows me to nourish from that energy. So this week's energy is the power of the red heifer, of Teshuvah, of changing something's essence from being something negative to something positive. I just need to know to align myself. That's all I need to do. Not required now to figure out mathematical equations. I just need to do Teshuvah. I need to do what Hashem tells me. Do what Hashem tells you, and you align yourself to the energy. Don't have to be a rocket scientist here. If you don't do what Hashem tells you, then you're not aligned. And it doesn't matter how much you're going to shoot, you'll never hit the target. Hashem says, just align yourself, it will hit. I remember, this is an extreme story, but just to get the point, I was in jail for 1.5 years for something I didn't even do. They thought that I'm a terrorist in America. It was after 9/11. But nevertheless, when I was in jail, it's not fun in jail. And after a couple months in jail came the winter, and the winter is very, very cold. And as it is, it's freezing in jails. They turn the air conditioning on in the winter. Everybody's freezing because they want people to be cold. They don't want, if it's hot, people get energized and upset and angry. They're freezing. Their jails are freezing. You're sitting like this, shaking all day long from cold. Anyways, my cell had a window was this wide. And you can look like this. Now, unfortunately, there was a wall in front of it, so I couldn't see anything. But if I stood on a certain angle, I saw a little bit outside of the sky and some whatever field that was around the place. Now, if I would stand a certain hour of the day, a little bit of sun came in and, touched my face a little bit. You know what it is not to see sun for a while? It's something we don't realize because we go out every day. But just to feel some sun on your face, to get some vitamin D when you're cramped in a cement cell for months. So I would stand there waiting sometimes 2 hours in that little crack for a little bit of sun to come in. Now it was winter, so some of the days there was those clouds. But I would, every time there's nothing much to do in jail, just to wait. And I would stand next to that crack, a little window, just for a little bit of sun to come in, and I would sit there. It was like, 5-10 minutes, just getting some sun on my face. I was like, And the same analogy is that you just need to know how to align yourself. The light is going to come at some point and shine on you. And this feeling. Same thing here. Hashem says, you align yourself. I already make sure that the universe shines on you. So every week we have to position myself in front of Hashem, and the energy of the week will affect me. So we have a very powerful energy in this week of Teshuvah, and to understand that as long as the candle is lit up, as long as the candle is lighting up, you can correct. Once the candle is out, that's it. So we have to understand that doesn't matter what we did, there's a rectification for that. There's always place for tikkun. Kadosh Baruch Hu accepts the ones who are sincerely repenting, and other people too. And we have to reach to the level of real teshuvah, because when we all reach to a high level of teshuvah, that's when we can really experience the ultimate teshuvah for the entire world, when we're going to see in the coming of Mashiach how the Kohen and Mashiach will be slaughtering the red heifer and sprinkling on us these special water and removing this impurity from us. But for that, we are required to do teshuvah. And really, my main theme, what I need to put my main energy and focus on, is how am I doing teshuvah. It's not my business, it's not my status in the community, is how am I doing teshuvah. Everything else is going to fall into place based on what Hashem wants. If Hashem wants me to be successful, I will be successful. If Hashem wants my business to flourish, it will flourish. Hashem wants me to be a big public figure, it's all in the hands of Hashem. But what is in the hands of my hands is just do teshuvah for your bad actions. We do teshuvah every night in Kriyat Shema Lamitah. We do teshuvah every Friday evening before Shabbat comes for the whole week. We do teshuvah on Rosh Chodesh for the whole month, and we do teshuvah on Yom Kippur for the entire year. But our sages say, Kol chayecha yu b'teshuvah. Every day, your life has to be b'teshuvah. You made a mistake, you failed, right away stop it. You catch yourself, you did something, you said lashon hara, lying, cheating, whatever it is, stop it right when it's not developed. And you can right away reverse it. And right away you repent and you fix it. And needless to say that the more you work with our teshuvah, needless to say, the more refined we get, climb to a much higher level. Needless to say, our life becomes a much better life. We become more happier and content and satisfied, and we spread positive energy around us. And needless to say, how it hastens the coming of Mashiach when each and every one of us is growing and growing spiritually and making the world a much more comfortable place for Hashem to dwell in.